Is this? Oh, it's live. Hey, how you doing today? I, we got a special guest today, a very special guest. I want to thank everybody for coming out. You guys could have been doing anything besides here today on this gorgeous Friday. So thanks everybody that came out. We're gonna get this show on the road here, so to speak. So first, I also want everybody in the community that's been supporting Local 180 and Local 807 in Burlington, Iowa. Thank you. The support is definitely appreciated. So, okay. So, also, I want to thank all of our local politicians, elected officials here. I see a lot of you guys here in support with us. You guys have been supporting us since day one. I seen Senator Bob Wersch here, Tip McGuire here, our Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes here. Also, some other elected officials that I seen. I kind of having a little brain fart right now because I talked to so many people today. But if I forgot your name, I'm sorry. But thank you for coming out and supporting Local 180. Without further ado, we that need to be resolved. They always talk about protecting the customer and the shareholders, but what about the people that put this product together and make it happen? What about us? Because without us, there is no profits, and those shareholders will definitely get on the boards. I know we got kids out here, but I'm gonna say ass. So. And make those necessary changes on that board. So, this is nothing more than corporate greed at its finest. I'm sure anybody that's a Bernie supporter, they know that Bernie has talked about this several times. So this isn't anything new. Unfortunately, though, it is 2022, and, we're starting to see a lot of people that want to be organized. And I just really don't know what the problem is with CNH. They are not comparable with anything in this area. So I'm sure that we have a long road ahead of us as far as negotiating with the company. I'm sure that they are going to up their tactics with what they'll try and do. The last thing that they did was trying to bargain with my members without the represented officials by sending out propaganda, half-truths. So we're here to set the record straight today. So, I guess sooner or later we'll get to an agreement, and we will get, what we deserve, and that is honestly just a fair agreement. We're not asking for anything more or anything less. We just want a fair agreement. I don't think that's too much to ask for in 2022. So I'm going to stop rambling, because this isn't about me. So I'm going to stop rambling. But I truly want to thank everybody that came out today. Thank you. So could we give a warm welcome for Bernie Sanders?
Well, thank you. Let me thank Local 180 for inviting me to be here, and Yassim for his leadership. And it's not only that I'm delighted to be here, I am really proud to be here. Now, I know you guys have been on strike, what is it, for 46 days or something like that? All right. And I know that the income that you're getting now is not a lot, and your families are under a lot of stress. But what you are doing is sending a message to working families all over this country, and that is that you are sick and tired of corporate greed, and you want to be treated with dignity and respect. You know, it's what Yasim just said a moment ago. You're not here to become billionaires, but you are here and you're fighting to be treated as human beings so that you can have the time to spend with your kids and your parents. That's all you're asking for. It is not a whole lot. But what we are seeing right here in Racine and what we are seeing all over this country is an unprecedented level of corporate greed. Now, when you turn on the TV tonight, it's owned by some billionaire, they're not going to talk about it. And the major newspapers are not going to talk about it. But you know what? We will talk about it. All right. And my point is to tell you that what's going on here is not unique. It's going on all over the country, and in many ways, by the way, all over the world. So what are we talking about? You have today an economic and political system that is doing really great for those of you who are billionaires. All right? Right now, but on the other hand, for the hundreds of millions of workers in this country, not quite so good. So what do you got right now? And I want you to hear this because I don't hear it on TV. In America today, you have more income and wealth inequality than we've ever had in the history of this country. Okay? Now, Yasim just said, right, people don't want it all. They just want to live with dignity. But you got right now two people on top, two, who own more wealth than the bottom 130 million people. All right? You have the top 1% owning more wealth than the bottom 92% of the American people. You got, listen to this. When I was a kid growing up, you know, CEOs always make more money than workers. That's no great secret. But there was a time, 50, 60 years ago, CEOs made 20, 30 times what their workers made. You understand what I'm saying? Do you know what the gap is today? Anyone know? 350 to 1. So these guys are sitting on top, and Yasim just said it. They're not worried about workers. They're not worried about your kids. They're not worried about your parents. They're not worried about your community. All they are worried about is how much in profit that they can make, what kind of dividends and stock options they can provide to their shareholders. All right? Number two, it's not just income and wealth inequality. You know what else is going on in the country today? And you know this. When you fill up your car at $6 a gallon. What you're looking at is at a time of a terrible pandemic. And I want you to appreciate corporate greed. We lost 1 million people in this country right now because of the pandemic. We have lost 5,000 nurses who have taken care of us. Thousands of grocery store workers and bus drivers and people who work in warehouses have died during this pandemic. But you know what the billionaire class has done during the pandemic? Their wealth increased by $2 trillion. That's a fact. So during the pandemic, the very rich have gotten richer, while people who have to go to work to support their families have died on the job and are earning wages that are not adequate to take care of their loved ones. And then you got our friends in the oil industry right now. You know what's going on there? You know why you're paying $6 a gallon for gas? Right now in the first quarter, the first 3 months of this year, the major oil companies saw an increase in their profits, saw profits of $99 billion. All right? I'm sorry, I stand corrected. It's 88, only 88 billion. It's not, all right. But while they made $88 billion in profits, they have raised prices at the gas pump, and they're going to give out tens of billions of dollars in dividends and stock options. So what they have done, I'm really, here are people struggling all over this country. You got a pandemic, you got a terrible war in Ukraine, and they are taking advantage of this situation to raise prices outrageously. And it's the same thing with the food industry. While working people go shopping in the grocery store, the price of food is going up. You're seeing a handful of food companies, major food companies, are enjoying record-breaking profits. So that is what is going on with the people on top. Now, what's going on with people right here? Right here at CNH, as I understand it, we are talking about workers who regularly work 12-hour days and nearly 60-hour weeks. Is that correct? Yes. All right. 12-hour days, day after day, 60-hour weeks, and they're working up to 17 hours per week of forced overtime. Is that correct? That's correct. Okay. We're talking about workers here at CNH who have made enormous sacrifices during the pandemic, not being able to spend quality time with their families or even getting enough rest before they have got to go back to work. All to keep production high and profits soaring at CNH. Am I right? Okay, you tell me if I'm wrong here. This is my understanding of what's going on. And with all of that sacrifice, what has been the response from the executives at CNH for all of your sacrifice, putting your lives on the line, literally, your hard work? What they are offering you, as I understand it, is a totally inadequate and insulting contract that would force workers to pay up to $6,400 a year more in health insurance.
For a single.
For what?
For a single.
Oh, for a single. It's more for a family?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's double. It's double. It's $13,000 for a family.
$13,000 in deductible for a family? All right. You all do, obviously. You know what that means? It means essentially that when you get sick, you can't afford to go to the doctor. I mean, if you get hit by a bus, I guess it kicks in at some point. But, your kid is sick, your wife is sick, you're sick. Who the hell can afford to take money out of your own pocket at the cost of health care? All right? That is outrageous. That is outrageous. And the so-called raise that they are offering, as I understand it, is just $1.33 an hour for the lowest paid workers. Is that correct? Okay. Which would, in reality, amount to a substantial pay cut after adjusting for inflation, which is 8% now, and the massive new cost in healthcare. Healthcare costs are soaring as well. Slashing the length of the union contract from 6 years down to 3 years is not a good idea. And furthermore, CNH, as I understand it, has outrageously hired replacement workers to do your work. And they have also terminated health insurance benefits to striking workers. Is that correct as well? You just stand back and forget politics and forget labor management. In this day and age, to take away health care benefits from a family, right? I suspect, like every other company in the world, you got people working here with members who have chronic problems, right? Heart disease, cancer, and so forth and so on. And some of you guys, I expect, have worked here for many years. Is that right? To treat you like that is just unacceptable. It is, we can have arguments, you can have differences of opinion, but you don't say to a family that, hey, a loved one may die because they can't afford to get to a doctor because we've taken away their health insurance. Now, the point that we need to make is that CNH is not some locally owned Racine company. This is a company that is owned by Exor, a Dutch holding company incorporated in the Netherlands, which in turn is owned by the Agnelli family. Is that correct? Yep. All right. Anyone know anything about the Agnelli family? The Agnelli family happens to be one of the wealthiest families in the world. Now, they're not quite up to Bill Gates, and they're not quite up to Elon Musk, but they are worth, we believe, about $19 billion. How's that? Think they got enough to get by, pay the rent? I think so. Last year, as I understand it, CNH made over $1.7 billion in profit. And if CNH can afford to provide its CEO, Scott Wine, with a $9.2 million signing bonus, this guy's not even a basketball player or a baseball player. He got a signing bonus. And nearly $22 million in compensation, $22 million, for 1 year of work, which is about 8,000 times high, 8,000 times the raise that it's offering to some workers. Surely it can afford to pay all of its workers decent wages and decent benefits. If CNH can afford to spend over $100 million on stock buybacks, you know what stock buybacks are? That's money that goes directly from the company into the stockholders, who are wealthy people. Over a 6-month period, it can afford to treat all of its workers, people who have worked here for years, with the dignity and respect they deserve. So today we say to the CEO of CNH, enough with the intimidation, enough with the coercion, enough with the lies, enough with the greed. Enough is enough. And now is the time for CNH to sit down at the negotiating table and start negotiating in good faith with the UAW. And we say to CNH, stop your hiring of replacement workers. That is disgraceful. Give back the health insurance benefits that you took away from workers. And offer your employees a contract that is fair. So let me just conclude by saying this. I mean, the struggle that you are engaged in is the struggle of our moment, the struggle of our time. And that is whether we stand up to this outrageous level of greed and selfishness and say to these companies, the time is long overdue to understand you can't have it all. You can't crush people. You can't crush families. People who have worked for you, have made you huge amounts of money. You got to treat them with respect and dignity. So I am here really to express my admiration and respect for your courage in standing up to this type of greed. And I know it's not easy. I know going out on strike is not easy. I know your families are hurting. But I just want you to know that millions of people all over this country profoundly respect and admire what you're doing. Thank you all very much.
Real quick here, anybody that is not registered to vote, we do have souls to the polls over here. So feel free to get registered to vote over here. Oh, boy. Here comes the swarm.
Oh, not right now. Want to do a photograph?
I'm like wobbly on my heels right now. So.
Hey, buddy. Thank you. Right on, you want to take a picture too? Hey, you want to take a picture too?